Hi, my name is Logan Omer, and this is my financing and marketing channel's presentation. First, we have the startup costs. So right up front is my rent per month is going to be $2,500, but I've always heard it's good to get a couple months ahead. So paying 3 months rent up front is going to total $7,500. The building itself is already renovated, so I don't need to worry about paying for any of that. And the only equipment I'm going to end up buying is shelves for stocking. I already have a personal computer I can use for the business, as well as um, furniture and a few other amenities. Uh, so the starting inventory is for a games retailer ideally is 35,000, although that's rarely used. Since I do have the available funds, I think this is going to be the best route. Uh, I also figured it'd be a good idea to get an accountant. So the minimum price I could find was $150 per month to hire a personal accountant. This is mainly because I'm not great with money, and having someone that can show me the proper way to do it and how to most wisely spend my funds will help the business immensely. Deposits for heat, electric, and plumbing are 600. Um, I'm since the building itself is on Main Street, I'm not super worried about security. There's a lot of businesses around, and it's always busy, so the odds of it getting broken into aren't very high. Um, it's only $25 for a business license in Idaho. This is for a simple business and retailer license, so that shouldn't eat into the startup costs that much. Insurance for a business of this size is $500. And then I also want to have $150 for advertising funds. Although the only marketing strategy that I plan on using that will actually require funds is printing. I believe having a little extra in case something arises is always a good idea. And then lastly, there's the $5,000 working capital needs that goes into everything else. So total up, everything will cost $53,225. So my first plan for an investor is my friends and family. Everyone in my family knows how serious and passionate I am about video games, and so they know I have the knowledge. Um, I also have a couple of I have an uncle who's an entrepreneur. He owns his own catering business, and I know I have another uncle who's worked at Micron for a long time, and he's always been interested in business. So both of them together um, could really help me understand the nitty gritty of it all and teach me a lot about running a business. So I feel like they would be able to help me with the smaller portion that I'm seeking from them. And then I have a grandmother who has a lot of extra money, and so she would take a big dent out of my particular startup costs. The second tactic I have is crowdfunding. This is a very useful strategy because it helps test the market, helps gauge the interest, and see what exactly I'm looking at in terms of how many consumers I'm going to start out with. It helps build excitement for the business. It's a newer way of marketing, and in terms of like GoFundMe's and stuff, and so it will help me build that excitement and hype for the business. Um, and it's usually time and cost effective. So you just start out. You have to put in the initial time to build the Patreon or crowdfunding or GoFundMe or whatever it is you want to use, and then you set it up. And then obviously you have to spend time putting it around on social media, but that's going to help. Well, I said it's going to help build the social media campaign as well as with the crowdfunding effort. And the last one is an angel investor. This is the investor I talked about, Steve Renfro. He's a huge entrepreneur. He owns 3 different businesses. He owns a bar, he owns a grocery store, and he owns a diving company in the Philippines. I've worked with him in the past doing general labor, like cleaning up around his store, stuff like that. So he knows I have a strong work ethic, and I'm also intelligent, so he knows that I would be a reliable investment. He has his hands in multiple markets. Like I said, dive company, bar, and grocery store. Those are 3 very widely different markets. So a game retailer in a climate like this would probably look very interesting to him. And he's always had a keen eye for investments. Every time that I've seen him invest in something, it's come out successful. So if I can convince him and maybe learn from him how to improve this business and what I could do to make it better, that would help me immensely. So my first type of marketing is guerrilla marketing. This is the only one that will really require money. Um, First, we have flyers. So printing out flyers, since the towns are all in close proximity, and it's a smaller city, I can flyers will be really effective, and I don't need to go around like flyer bombing a whole city or anything. I can put them in key locations, like around grocery stores or in the park, wherever people tend to go gather. And it gives a lot of attention. Really colorful flyers will always stop. What the heck is this? And then they read it, and then if they're interested, then they go to the event or they don't. Next, we have public relations. So I plan on holding events at the Investors Bar. Like I mentioned, Steve Venture owns a bar in town. It's called The Corner, and it's a widely popular one. My mom goes every Wednesday for bingo, so there's lots of older ladies that tend to go. There's also a pool every night, so all of the loggers from town go there to drink. So, and this will attract a lot more of the older investors, or not investors, sorry, consumers. But it will still bring a lot of attention. They can tell their kids or whatever. We can hold giveaways, maybe some older consoles or older games that people haven't played yet, and then a potluck at the local park. Every time someone does something in town, it's a potluck, and so carrying that tradition and putting it in the center of town at the local park will surely garner a lot of attention and give and kind of show them that we know how to continue the town's traditions and bring that sort of friendly, relatable experience that they need to receive. And last, we have email marketing. Extremely cost effective. Doesn't cost any money to send an email. My time is all it would take. While we were holding those potluck and bar events, like I mentioned, we could have people fill out contact info cards to send the emails. Just let them know, hey, this is so we could send out like a weekly newsletter or whatever. You need to make sure it doesn't look like spam. I know I can't count how many times I've gotten a newsletter that just looks like spam. I just delete it. So if we can make it look like an actual like businessy type of info to kind of let them know how it's progressing, what we're looking at, I think that would be good. And then last, we have weekly newsletters detailing potential sales and coupons. Um, so Black Friday comes up, we can tell them, hey, this console is going to be on sale for $150 or whatever the price is. Coupons as well, since these are very traditional people in this town. Coupons will appeal to them in a big way. These are the citations for I'll receive this information, the startup costs for the business, and kind of just what it takes in general to start up a business. And so, in conclusion, I think this is a really good idea. The market for this type of thing isn't really been tapped into in this area, um, and the startup cost is relatively cheap compared to what other businesses might be. And since I do have a lot of the startup costs available from my grandmother, I think this would help in a big way. I think that would help in a big way, and I think this would be an extremely successful business. Thank you for listening.